What would happen if one morning you awakened with no need to please anyone? What if the silent hunger for approval, the constant fear of rejection, simply vanished? Pause for a moment and imagine that version of yourself who does not hesitate, who does not shrink, who does not barter her authenticity for acceptance. It is not a fantasy, it is a reality hidden inside you waiting. The paradox is striking: the woman you dream of becoming already exists, but you have been trained not to see her. And that is the mystery we must unravel together. Because true confidence is not born from perfection, nor from the loud assertion of strength, but from an unexpected source: your willingness to meet the parts of yourself you were told to hide. A woman who enters a room and is respected without speaking loudly, who does not need flawless appearance to be noticed, who does not exhaust herself to be loved. This woman is not a distant stranger. She is you, concealed beneath years of silence, layers of expectation, and the quiet bargain of playing good to feel safe. Today, this is not another motivational talk. It is a confrontation with the unspoken rules that shaped you, the invisible contracts you signed as a girl. Be polite instead of firm. Be pretty instead of free. Be useful instead of respected. Each of these lessons carved you into a shape that kept you agreeable yet fragile. And the hidden cost of that fragility: anxiety, guilt, relationships that suffocate, and the quiet implosion of a life lived in disguise. Carl Jung once observed that what you resist persists, and what you accept transforms. For years, you may have resisted your anger, your doubts, your sadness, even your desires, hoping that repression would buy you love. But repression never liberates, it cages you. Imagine instead what might happen if today you dared to look directly at those emotions. Could it be that what you have feared is actually the key to your security? As children, many of us were taught that being good was more important than being real. We learned to silence ourselves, to keep affection, to endure discomfort, so as not to disrupt others, to bend because firmness was portrayed as dangerous. Yet this training did not make you safer. It made you invisible even to yourself. And when a woman forgets how to respect herself, she becomes hollow inside. No matter how brightly she smiles, how tirelessly she serves, her silence eventually fractures into either collapse or rage. That is why you are here. Not by accident, but because a part of you is tired of the silence, tired of pleasing, tired of carrying the invisible weight. Awakening is never painless, but awakening is the only door to freedom. To be a secure woman is not to be flawless. It is to embrace your light and your shadows, your past and your present, your strength and your vulnerability. It is to stop hiding from yourself. When you cease to abandon your own truth, the world begins to respond differently. Respect does not arrive from the outside, it radiates from within. In the way you choose to speak, to set limits, to carry yourself without apology. Let me share with you the story of Anna, a woman who seemed to have everything under control. 34 years old, a psychologist, a single mother admired by colleagues and friends alike, her warmth and brilliance were visible to all. Yet behind closed doors, Anna felt as though she was slowly unraveling. She grew up in a household where being good was law. Do not raise your voice. Do not disturb. Do not cry too much. Do not say no. In silence, she learned to repress her anger, to swallow her truths, to put others first again and again. This pattern of quiet compliance followed her into adulthood, shaping her friendships, her work, her intimate relationships. She was always available, always reliable, always the strong one. But one day in a sterile office bathroom, tears running down her face, something cracked. She had 15 patients that week. Her child was sick, her ex-partner was absent, and a friend had cut ties because she did not answer messages quickly enough. In that cold, tiled room, Anna felt not sadness, but rage. Rage at having erased herself. Rage at needing permission to rest. Rage at never saying "I deserve." That evening, she opened an old notebook and wrote one simple but radical sentence: "Today, I give myself permission to come first." From that declaration began her transformation. Therapy followed. Boundaries were drawn. She learned to say no, not with cruelty, but with clarity. She allowed herself to cry without apologizing. She dared to say "I am tired" without shame. "This hurts me" without explanation. "I do not deserve this," without guilt. And something remarkable happened. She did not become cold as she had feared. She became real. And the moment she became real, people began to respect her. Respect is not a gift bestowed by others. It is the reflection of how you treat yourself when no one is watching. Anna's external world did not dramatically change her work. Her motherhood, her obligations remained, but her perspective shifted. And with that shift, her life changed. That is what I want for you. Not a mask of perfection, not a borrowed identity designed to keep the peace, but the courage to return to yourself, to refuse to soften your voice, simply to avoid discomfort, to stop smiling out of obligation, to remember your worth not in what you do, but in who you are. How does one begin? The truth is simple, yet demanding you begin by listening. Not to others, but to yourself. Instead of repressing your emotions, you observe them, asking what they truly signal. You name your limits without aggression, but with firmness. You learn to say no without drowning in explanation. You honor your shadow, the parts of you labeled too intense, too emotional, too much. Jung reminded us that embracing the shadow is the first step toward wholeness. A secure woman does not deny her shadow. She integrates it, and in that integration lies her power. There is another story I want you to hear, because sometimes a single moment of recognition can shake us more than 1,000 theories. Her name is Isabel. To the world, she appeared strong, her gentle eyes, her upright posture, her reliability. She was the kind of woman others believed to be unbreakable. But inside, Isabel carried the silent fear of rejection. From childhood, she had been taught that love required her to be easy to handle. Do not raise your voice. Do not create drama. Do not make yourself a burden. She grew up mastering compliance. She loved, quietly worked tirelessly, and little by little, she faded into a version of herself that existed only to avoid disturbing others. The breaking point came not in a dramatic crisis, but in a simple sentence. In the middle of an argument, her partner said, "You are always available. You never say anything. It's like you have no character." Isabel did not cry. She felt a knot instead, not because of the cruelty in his words, but because she realized he was right. She had lost herself trying not to offend, trying to be loved. That night she wrote a line that would alter her trajectory. "Today I begin to recover the voice I silence so that others would accept me." From that small act, her transformation began. She started by writing her feelings in private, then speaking them softly, then more clearly. She placed boundaries not harsh, but unshakable. She learned to endure the silence of those who drifted away when she stopped being endlessly available. She discovered that loneliness does not destroy, but abandoning yourself does. Slowly, Isabel understood something that many never dare to see: being respected is not luck. It is choice. A woman is not respected because she demands louder than others, but because she honors her own voice enough to stop betraying it. A secure woman is not the one who dominates a room with noise, but the one who can stand silently in her truth and still be undeniable. This is not a lesson found in books. It is embodied wisdom earned through experience, pain, and decision. Notice how both Anna and Isabel did not build strength by hardening, but by integrating. They did not gain respect by being flawless, but by becoming whole. Jung's words echo here. What you deny controls you. What you accept transforms you. If you silence your truth, others will silence it for you. If you abandon your needs, others will too. But when you stand firm in your voice, in your dignity, even trembling, the world must respond. This is why security cannot be faked. It is not a performance. It is a presence. It is not shouting to convince others, but embodying such coherence that no explanation is needed. And here lies the paradox. True strength is not about resisting pain, but about refusing to let pain define you. Let us pause for a moment and ask the questions that rarely find their way into daily conversations. How many times have you silenced yourself to avoid conflict? How many times have you said yes while your entire being screamed no? How many times have you shrunk your presence just to remain loved? These are not isolated events. They are the invisible patterns that shape entire lives. Jung warned us that what we deny will eventually enslave us, And nowhere is this more evident than in the lives of women who have been trained to reject their own voices. When you deny your anger, it becomes chronic guilt. When you deny your sadness, it becomes exhaustion. When you deny your boundaries, it becomes exploitation. The cost of silence is always higher than the cost of truth. A secure woman understands this not because she never fears rejection, but because she accepts that rejection is survivable, while self-abandonment is not. Respect then is not begged for, it is mirrored back to you when you have chosen to stop betraying yourself. And yet the process is not easy. When you begin to reclaim your truth, some will leave. When you place boundaries, some will accuse you of being distant, selfish, or cold. This is the paradox. The moment you become real, you will lose people who only loved the version of you that served them. But in that loss, you reclaim something greater, you recover yourself. This is why awakening feels both painful and liberating. It is the shedding of borrowed identities. It is realizing that safety bought with silence is not safety at all. Consider this. Security is not walking through life unaffected by pain. It is walking knowing pain exists, but refusing to let it dictate your worth. It is the trembling no that reshapes an entire relationship dynamic. It is the firm decision to stand alone rather than remain where your soul is diminished. A secure woman is not afraid of solitude because she has discovered the deeper void lies in abandoning herself. She is not afraid of conflict because she understands that clarity is more valuable than constant harmony. She does not need to prove her value with perfection because she knows her presence is enough. And the most intriguing part is this. When a woman finally integrates her shadow and honors her truth, she becomes not only stronger, but unforgettable. Her energy shifts. People may not fully understand why, but they feel it. She no longer negotiates her dignity. She no longer apologizes for existing. She no longer accepts crumbs disguised as affection. This is the mystery of transformation. It cannot be seen in a single gesture, but it is undeniable in her essence. Jung described this as integration uniting the light and the shadow, the visible and the hidden. And once that integration takes root, the world cannot treat her as it once did. Because when a woman respects herself, the world is forced to follow. Now let us bring this journey to its final depth. Imagine standing in front of a mirror, not to fix your flaws or measure yourself against impossible standards, but to look into your own eyes with honesty. That reflection does not need to be perfected. It needs to be acknowledged. This is where the transformation truly begins. Security is not about becoming unshakable. It is about no longer abandoning yourself when life shakes you. Each time you say, "This is not for me," without guilt, each time you choose rest over relentless performance, each time you protect your truth, even in silence, you are building the invisible architecture of respect. These acts are rarely celebrated by others, but they are the foundation of your dignity. And here lies the paradox. What the world often calls selfishness is in reality survival. To put yourself first is not arrogance. It is emotional clarity. If you do not honor your needs, no one else will. If you do not validate your worth, others will treat it as negotiable. The path to becoming a secure woman is therefore not marked by perfection, but by daily loyalty to yourself. The question is no longer whether you will be loved for being agreeable, but whether you are willing to be respected for being real. Some will misinterpret your shift. They will say you have changed, that you are colder, less accommodating. But what they do not see is that you are no longer reacting from old wounds. You are responding from dignity. And yes, it costs you relationships, jobs, and certain comforts, but it gives you something infinitely greater: freedom. Freedom from manipulation, from cycles of guilt, from the exhaustion of living for everyone except yourself. Jung once said that wholeness is not achieved by imagining light, but by making the darkness conscious. This is your task: not to deny what hurts, but to look directly at it, to integrate it, and in doing so, transform it into strength. And when you embody that strength, you become something that unsettles the world, a woman who cannot be controlled by fear. Look around, and you will see countless women still trapped in silence, carrying perfect smiles, with broken hearts, living lives of service, while their own essence withers. The difference between them and you is not destiny, it is decision. The decision to stop waiting for permission, to stop shrinking, to stop treating your worth as negotiable. The decision to return home to yourself. This is the great mystery. When you finally respect yourself, you realize that the respect you sought outside was always a reflection of your inner stance. The world mirrors what you decide. And now the decision is yours. Will you keep softening your voice so others remain comfortable, or will you choose to honor the truth that has always lived inside you? Because when a woman makes that choice, when she finally whispers, "I am enough," the entire balance of her life shifts. She no longer hides. She no longer begs. She no longer trades her dignity for acceptance. And in that moment, she is not only secure, she is unstoppable.